Dave, really strange game to analyse on Tuesday. You've no doubt already gone through it with the players. Do you draw more on the positives of what was not just a good first half, a really good first half, or more on what went wrong in the second half?
Like you do with every game, you draw on everything. So we'll highlight the bits that we did well, and there was stacks and stacks of that. But we'll also highlight the bits where we think we can do better. And there was far less of that, to be fair. But like with every game, win, lose or draw, we'll review what we did and move on quickly. And that's been the case again here.
And on those many positives, Jack Diamond's performance in the first half, the link up with Malik and the pockets of space he was picking up in between the lines, that was really encouraging.
Yeah, the first half was, like I said, and I've said in my programme notes, probably one of the best 45 minutes that I've seen whilst I've been manager here for 4 years. Not that it was outstanding in terms of the game being won and putting the game to bed, but some of the stuff that we've worked on sort of played out as we'd hope it would play out. If we're being critical, can we then go on and get a second goal, and can we make more of the situations that we had rather than making the decisions maybe in the final third? The goalie's made a couple of decent saves, but I think we could make more of those situations. But in terms of the positions that they got in, that's exactly what we envisaged things would look like. So that was, like I say, that was really pleasing. What you have to do, I suppose, to add on to that is then become more efficient in terms of the chances that we create. So when we are on their back line, are there better decisions we make, whether it's a slide pass, whether it's to play wide, whether it's to go and back yourself to take someone on, rather than at times just taking, again, backing yourself to score from 20, 25 yards. The probably XG around those shots is far lower than maybe some of the decisions we make, but that's, again, things that are positives that we certainly get better at.
I suppose maybe similar to this stage last season, we've seen glimpses, we've seen in patches of what the team's going to be capable of. Like you say, 45 minutes on Tuesday, you were very good for 60 minutes at Wickham, just not maybe sustained over 80, 90 minutes yet. Is that just a fitness thing? Is that something you think will come naturally as the games tick by?
I'm not sure it's a fitness thing. I think that, let's be very clear, for us to expect that a game is going to look the same for 90 minutes, I think we'd be living in cloud cuckoo land. Any team will have their moments in games and have their spells in game. I watched the day after our game, I watched Bolton v Reading, and the game was almost a carbon copy. There was only ever one team going to win that game. Bolton dominated for 70 minutes, got themselves one in front, should have been out of sight. Then all of a sudden, for the last 20 minutes, Reading had a bit of a go and get an equaliser. So it's how you react in them moments, and you're never always going to control the game in possession. What we've got to do better is, at them times, control the game out of possession if needs be. And what we can't do, like we did on Tuesday, is make mental concentration mistakes that give other teams a leg up. I expect people to give the ball away. I expect people to have a bad touch at times. I expect people to maybe select the wrong pass. That's all right. If it happens continually or over and over again, then players are going to have an issue, because other players are going to put them under pressure and want to understand as to why they're not in the team. But what you can't do in those phases of the game when maybe things aren't going right and another team is having a spell is compound that by mentally switching off and not doing your jobs. And that's like I say, the bigger thing for the last couple of games, really. If we're going to be a team that wants to be where we want to be at the top end of the table, we cannot do that. It's something that, again, if I look at how we were last season consistently, that was a part of our game that didn't really happen. Again, if you look back at last season over the course of the whole season, really, I don't think there were any games, in my opinion, like Tuesday, where we had a half that was so pleasing from our own perspective. We were pretty consistent. We were all right. I think there was still loads more to come from us. I seen some things on Tuesday that, again, probably we've been searching for the last sort of 18 months, which was a huge positive. We have to take them positives from that, and like I say, be able to replicate that, but understand that if it happens for 45 minutes, then it doesn't happen for the first 15 minutes of the second half. That's not a problem. Teams aren't just going to roll over. There's no entitlement here that says, oh, well, hang on a minute, we had all the ball in the first half. We expect that to happen in the second half. Things are going to change. So you got to see through them moments and then find a way. And we didn't do that. We didn't do that in terms of what the result looked like. We had a mad 15 minutes, which then led to some frustrating mistakes, but not game-changing mistakes. But you look at where we were second half to first half, we created clear-cut chances in the second half. And let's be honest, we lost the game. It's a game we should never have lost.
Moving on from the weekend, individually, just want to talk to you about Ethan Pye, 100th appearance for him, if selected at the weekend. I guess to hit that milestone at such a young age is testament to, I suppose, just how important he is for you in this team.
Yeah, I think Ethan is, I suppose, the gold standard of what we'd want young players coming through the team to look like. So went away, I won't say learned his trade, but had different experiences that helped him grow into the position he plays in. He now plays in a team that suit what his strengths are, as a wide centre back, if you like, in terms of how we're going to play. And he's gone through, I suppose, the perfect sort of step up in terms of National League North, National League, League Two, League One, and he's flourished in all of them and learn on the job, if you like, which we knew would be the case a little bit. I'll go back to his first games as a Football League player, if you like. There were some moments where he made mistakes. He's testament to the fact that he's learned from those things, and more often than not now, you're not overly commenting upon him because he goes through the game with minimum of fuss, if you like, whilst still being a hugely important player for us.
Transfer window shuts a week on Monday. Are you confident of keeping him in the building now? Because presumably you won't want to be looking for a replacement this late in the window.
No, I don't want to speak out of turn here because things happen above me around what things look like, but I'm super confident of keeping him. I don't think there's been any interest. Not that we want any interest. It's as probably as big a surprise to me as it is to anybody. But as a consequence, we'll benefit from that. So Ethan just needs to keep improving and keep doing what he does well. I think this is a perfect environment for him because we do play to what his strengths are. And if there are doubters for whatever reason, then he's just got to keep silencing them or showing them that he will keep improving, and regardless of the level he plays at, he'll adapt.
Just on the subject of transfers, do you envisage any business in or out before the window shuts? Would you like to add to your squad?
Yeah, of course. But that's, again, comes around timing, comes around balance of squads, comes around what we can do and whether it improves us. What I don't want to do is just add bodies for the sake of adding bodies. If we're going to bring people in, then they need to be challenging and going to be players that start games for us. We'll have players coming back, so at times that is muddies the water a little bit because we could have players back in a few weeks, which can change what the situation looks like. We know for certain we've got some long-term injuries that are going to be certainly a couple of or a month or so after the transfer window is shut in Teo, R2 and Beatty. But there are others that are coming back. Hopefully this week we'll get an opportunity to see some of them, be it at the weekend or be it in the game on Tuesday, and we can get them closer to being fully match fit.
And who are those players, I suppose, that are nearing a return in the next weeks?
Obviously Fevs has been involved in the squad. Benno's been back involved in the squad. Had little injuries. Jay Mingy's trained a couple of times. We'll need to see whether Tuesday comes too soon for him or whether he's available. Campsy's obviously out for a little period now. Obviously there's been lads in and out the squad. Danny missed out on Tuesday. Odin and Lewis missed out on Saturday. So Jid's coming back into the picture. He had a slight injury, so maybe an opportunity Tuesday to see what that looks like. Obviously we're getting Joe up to speed now. Going back to back would be difficult for him. Similar with Brad, and Lowy himself is sort of again one that I suppose had a little bit of a fractured, as I say, pre-season, but has got more minutes, and hopefully over the next week or so, with the amount of games we've got, we can get players at a better level than the colour at.
Looking ahead to Burton, who, not for the first time in recent years, looked pretty dead and buried at one point last season. Incredible job that Gary did to keep them in the division last year.
Yeah, fantastic job. Again, I suppose what it does show, new owners go in at Burton. I know Robbo was doing my pro licence. I know obviously he went in there and spoken to him about it. And you'll have maybe from the outside coming into a situation think you can just change things dramatically and things will just work, and have a blue sky thinking way of looking at things, recruit a load of players, chuck them all together and not expect some pain. And they certainly got that pain in the early part of the season. Credit to them, what they did do is pivoted around January and went in a different direction in order to be more robust and solid and try and secure their League One status, which they did pretty comfortably, to be fair. In my opinion, that's without, again, if you're in their situation, it probably didn't feel comfortable. But they looked pretty solid. They recruited good players, but sometimes putting all good young players together doesn't work. Gary got the balance really spot on. Made themselves more organised, more robust, still energy and still got legs about them, but more structure to them, and invested well in January in order to get loans and permanents in to make themselves a better team. They've done a similar thing over the summer. Those players that they brought in last summer are a year older. They've had a year's worth of League One experience, and as a consequence, you expect them to be a better outfit this year. And knowing how Gary goes about it, I don't think that'll ever not be the case.
Yeah, and I suppose hard to judge a team after just 3 games. But obviously, they went to Barnsley a couple of weeks ago and gave them a real scare. What do you expect from them, I suppose, in terms of how they'll set up tomorrow?
I think you look back to the game that we played against them at Edgeley Park last season. They overloaded the midfield, probably had more possession and more maybe control in the game at times without as much threat. Ramon Burrell was very isolated. Obviously, he's moved on now. So I expect them to be aggressive. I expect them to be front foot. I expect them to try and have some control and try and cause us problems. Ultimately, we've got to focus on what we do and try and replicate what we did on Tuesday, just in terms of how we play and how technically we're bang on. And if we do that, with the players we've got, we'll cause any team's problems. There's obviously work to do on the other bit, and that'll be the next opportunity for us. So it's a game that we're looking forward to. Like I said previously, we've shown real consistency last year, and when we had the disappointment, we bounced back, and hopefully that'll be the case at the weekend.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Thank you.
Welcome. Cheers. Thank you.